Chapter 10. All right, welcome everybody. We got chapter 10 going here, and I want to make sure you can see it without the huge glare. So there we go. I know you can download this your own, but getting into cognition. So, this is Erickson's idea of integration versus despair. Apply a function of interests. So cognitive declines, they're very gradual until 80 or 90. So you won't notice them as much. I know it is hard to deal with. And it's not always a given. And there's a considerable variation of like those who will suffer from cognitive decline. So the information processing speed, it declines with age. It's dependent on other organs like your eyes and your ears. If you're not hearing as well, it's hard to process. If both of your eyes aren't functioning well, it's hard to see it. So that slows your reaction time. Sometimes there's memory loss, so that's verbal recall and working memory and word finding. And that's associated with attention, physical and emotional health. And then some retraining is possible. So sometimes they do that in nursing homes. They try to retrain folks because it is important. And it could be a challenge. Also, in loss, grief, and mourning, this could be environmental, extrinsic factors that may affect the experience and behavior and adaptation of loss. So this could be personal losses or gains, social forces, losses or gains, socioeconomic adversities, unwanted retirement, and cultural devaluation of older persons. So lately there has been a lot of unwanted retirements. With COVID, the economy has definitely slowed down. Folks are being laid off. We even had a 5% cut the last 11 or 12 months of our own salary just to keep everything open and going. So there's also intrinsic factors that may affect experience, behavior, and adaptation loss, your personality, possible physical diseases. There's also some age-specific changes here, and then experience of bodily dissolution, like approaching death. Your body just stops working. So with loss, grief, and mourning. So grief is a normative emotion, reaction to loss expressed both emotionally and physically. The 4 tasks of mourning are accepting the loss, feeling the pain or experiencing the pain, adjusting to the new environment, and find an appropriate way to maintain a connection with the deceased, yet move on with life. So, some of us have had persons pass away in life, and maybe we still talk to them or write them a letter or just communicate however we do. And ideally moving on, like knowing that we're still here and working on things. Reminiscent. So this is how older people maintain a sense of self. So they're reminiscing the past often. It's designed to help older people retrieve positive memories and improve mood. It's not intended to gain insight or resolve conflicts, because if you're kind of like poring over the past and thinking you can fix a conflict, a lot of times you can't. It also helps people retain their identity, gives life meaning. So in ecological counseling, they call that meaning making, and it can be a social tool. So just talking with somebody about their experience I've had my family work with stuff that has come up, and it definitely is okay. Um, and then life review, so used for therapeutic processes, and that's one that's important. Also, as with all the other chapters, there's psychological strengths and hazards and risks. So wisdom is a result of resolution of Erickson's crisis, integrity versus despair. Um, there's also a wise person is capable, but also sees the need and viewpoints of others. And then with spirituality, it's associated with indicators of being in older people. And then also the dementia, it is irreversible. Cognitive impairments that affect memory, personality, and functioning. So this does affect some of the population. It's something to keep in mind. And then on top of that, Alzheimer's disease. So 60% of dementia disorders do begin to experience Alzheimer's. It starts with loss of short term memory and progresses to interfere with brain functions. So that's even like swallowing, remembering to do things that are imperative to life. And that can be what does end up with the person passing if they do forget to swallow or important things of that nature. So the last slide before I cut out here to give you guys time for that 6-8 page final paper, and then any other presentations that need turned in on electronic devices. So mental illness in late life, there's depression. 1 to 4% of older people, 30% have are at long-term care facilities. Some medical conditions can predispose you to depression. So if you're staying at a long-term care facility, that's almost a third of folks that get depressed there. Symptoms would be loss of pleasure in things that used to be pleasurable, emptiness, excessive social withdrawal, self-neglect, expressions of worthlessness, and changes in appetite, sleep problems, and somatization. How can social workers help? So here is where it's important for us to remember if you do work in nursing homes. So establishing relationships, mobilizing strengths, exploring negative precipitating events, and also doing things that are encouraging the folks, encourage them to engage and list help from other family members. So they are engaging with one another. Explore negative precipitating events if it is like moving into the nursing home and kind of dealing with that loss. And then refer for a med evaluation if needed. So that's kind of last chance because it may be needed. Suicide is a significant problem in late adulthood, and then cues older adults that may indicate suicidal ideation. So if they're doing increased isolation, also if they're giving away their possessions, threats and wishes to die, if they're saying goodbye. And another one that comes up is alcohol dependence. So 2/3 have been drinking their entire adult life. So this may not be new alcohol dependence, but something that is already there with folks that do have it. 1/3 started in either their 50s or 60s, maybe even after retirement. Older women are likely to be overlooked for alcohol dependent screenings. So that's all for today. I wanted to give you guys 40 some minutes to work on everything else. So we'll go over the social dimension next time. So see y'all soon.